Day 8 of the project and all is well. I got the backing plate all figured out. I'm going to use one of the original ones here. Got it cleaned out. There's a little bit of rust inside the bore where these adjusters go, but it's moving freely. This will be one of my backing plates, and then I'll keep the other one that I'd already gotten all together. Both of them have the little clippy clips that are important to keep those adjusters in place. See, without those, the brakes could self-adjust loose or tight, and that'd be bad either way. Backing plate should be in good shape. Need to finish cleaning up the beam, so pull these leaves out of here and get all this degreased. And then I'll need to do final preparations for paint. Don't know that there's going to be all that much wire brushing left to do. There's some things that I don't want the sand to get to. I'll take this stuff called gaff tape. It's like a super duper duct tape, and cover things like the bearing areas on the spindle, bearing areas on the trailing arms. Anywhere that I don't want sand especially or paint, I'll cover up to make sure that all that stuff stays in good shape. I also kind of need to protect threads. In most of these cases, I've been able to put the bolt in there to cover up the threads, and that way both things get sandblasted, but there'll be a handful of things that I need to protect from the sand as I sandblast. Really kind of down to final preparations for sandblasting. Right now it's overcast outside. Hopefully the weather will cooperate today. If not, if it starts to rain, that's a no-go for sandblasting. I'll have to find other things to do inside the garage, of which there are plenty. I'm gonna stay busy today, one way or the other. Hopefully that means that by the end of the day I'll have everything ready and prepped for paint. Lots to do, gotta get started. Finally have everything ready for sandblasting. This is the steering box. Got it all closed up, just loosely assembled together really just to keep the sand out. Got some tape on the end there, some splines on this end that I wanted to protect, so there's some tape there. So just a whole bunch of stuff like that to get everything ready to go. I'm going to include the gas tank. Several years ago I did the sealer on the inside, the POR15 style sealer. I did that on a handful of tanks and I've yet to have any kind of a failure. The important thing with that sealer is you just follow the instructions to the letter. Actually this bike over here, that tank looks awful, but it's actually sealed on the inside. I cut it in half and welded it together a little bit wider to fit on this frame, and then sealed it and left the outside alone. So that tank actually works perfectly. It looks bad, but it works awesome. This sealer stuff is good, but that's all I did back then was seal the inside of it, and finally now I'm going to get a coat of paint on the outside so it'll look good as well. The beam's ready. Found some mystery plugs in it in here. Probably not going to be able to see it, but there's a plastic plug there and another plastic plug there that I haven't seen any mention of, or haven't found it in any parts, so I'll do a little more research to see if I can find out about those. I would be sandblasting right now, but there was a little bit of rain. I'm going to make sure that that's out of the way. Any moisture in the sand is going to make it clog, and that's a huge pain. That makes it impossible to sandblast. So I'm gonna make sure the rain is past me, and then I'll set up a tarp, sandblast everything on top of that, and then I can roll the tarp up to gather the sand when I need to reload the blaster. It's labor, it works well, but it's a lot of work, not the most fun. I'll be happy when this part is over with. got 3 or 4 hours of sandblasting, and I'm in pretty good shape with the stuff that's going to be a part of this first paint project. I did start sandblasting one of the wheels, but by this point my sand was pretty much dust, and so it wasn't biting very well, and that's very, very smooth. It's not going to be a problem there, but it gets to a point where the sand isn't worth using anymore. You're just wearing out your equipment. So that was a good stopping point. There's some gaps in the welding on the beam that has allowed some of the kerosene to seep out from when I was washing it earlier. So I'm going to rinse it really well, and then I'll do some degreasing on the front beam and anything else that shows signs of grease. But most everything I think is ready to be etched. Got a little bit of washing and then a whole bunch of etching to do tonight, and then I need to get it all hung up so it can dry overnight and be ready for that special paint tomorrow. There's still a little bit to do, but I think the worst of it is behind me. Sandblasting is filthy. Luckily today wasn't too hot, and that made it a whole lot more tolerable. So I just got it all done, rinsed off in the water hose, and now I'm ready to do the next thing. So the day's going well, I gotta say. So if I can knock this out, then I'll call it a success today. And then we'll do some paint tomorrow. Day 9 of the project, and all is well. Doing some painting today. This is a task that is not really dependent on the weather. It's hot and muggy outside. The muggy's probably not so great for this type of paint. It's cured by moisture and it may cure too quick, but I don't have much option. This is where I am. This is the time that I have to do the project, and so today is when I paint. Got all the prep done yesterday. Everything looks dry. It's all hung up and ready to go. This day will end with a dust coat of primer on top of at least 2 coats of POR15. And then I'll let that cure for a couple of days before I put a top coat on top of that primer. And then it'll all just cure and be done. Kind of on the downhill side, really, of this phase of the project where I clean up all the front end components. I do have an issue, and I don't know if I'm going to find a good way around it. Some petroleum of some sort has seeped back out. It's really bad down here. I don't expect that I'll get POR15 to stick to this. As a last ditch effort, I'm going to take lacquer thinner and try to get as much of that grease off as I can. Lacquer thinner will of course evaporate very quickly. Hopefully whatever it leaves behind is not as bad as this, and the POR15 will stick. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but it's about all I've got. Maybe this is going to have to get touched up at some point if all that stuff just peels off. I'll have to cross that bridge when I come to it. Everything else I'm happy with. It's all dry and in good shape. The steering box looks pretty good to me. I think I'll be able to do that all right. It is full of sand. Like it doesn't want to turn. It'll have to be taken apart, which was the plan anyway, and degreased all over again. That might be a next weekend thing. Looking ahead to next weekend, that's when things might start to get challenging. Best case scenario, I'd have the pan ready to be sandblasted on Saturday and then painted on Sunday. That would really be wonderful. The worst case scenario, which is looking more and more likely, is that we'll have a hurricane next weekend, which means my priorities will shift next weekend, and later on this week I have to do some hurricane preparedness, right? I don't really need many supplies. I'm good there. I just grab some water and so on. But around the yard, I'll have to do some things. There's the normal boarding up the house and all that stuff. Stuff that's not this. So can't really do much sandblasting in a hurricane. Or if there's a huge mess to clean up. Here's a hurricane tip, by the way. Mow the lawn. Mow the lawn before the hurricane hits, because it's much more difficult to clean up debris in a tall lawn than a short lawn. So that might be a bump in our plans. That would push us back at least a weekend. I've done really well in storms. I've been here for 14, 15 years in this location, and I've had trees on this garage before and done the repairs for that. All things considered, I've done really well in storms and always get prepared. So that'll be a big wrinkle in the plans. We'll see. So I got my work cut out for me today. This should be a fairly low impact day. It just takes diligence. It's kind of tedious, especially the first coat, getting into all the crevices, and then the second coat of this stuff always goes on a lot easier and a little thicker too. I'm positioned well for the project, just a matter of getting busy and doing it. So here we go. Most of one coat done. I got everything done except the beam, which I'll do with the first bit of the next can. I did wipe this down with lacquer thinner, and it looks to have removed a lot of the oil. I'm gonna hit it one more time right before I go in with paint. You can see some has been seeping out here. It's what I can do, I guess. Just gotta go with it. The humidity is a factor today for sure. I use these tiny little cans of the paint to keep it fresh. It's already thick just through doing that one coat, which has taken me a little bit more than an hour. And this is almost unusable. It's just too thick to put on as thin of a coat as is preferred. I use crappy brushes because I use one brush per can, and it starts to get all tacky. The brush is low quality, but I believe most of this is due to the fact that the paint gets real sticky and just dries so quick in all of this humidity. Some challenges with getting a good coat of paint on, but I'm gonna just do my best. This is a goner. I'm not even gonna be able to use the rest of that can. It's more expensive, clearly, to get the tiny little cans, but in humidity like this, I think it's probably the best idea. I'm gonna open up one more can, get this beam done, and then do a second coat for as long as that can lasts. Then I'll wait till it gets a slight finger drag, as they say, when you drag your finger across. Yeah, this guy's ready for a second coat. And then I'll do the dust coat of primer. And then that'll be it for what I had planned for today. It's looking like this is going really quick, so I'm sure I can find something else to use the rest of the day's time on. Maybe start taking a look at taking apart the pan. Just start moving ahead. We'll make that decision when we get there. Second coat of paint is finished. Went on pretty decently. It'll be interesting to see how all this works out where the petroleum was leaking out there. But it looks good. It's good for now, anywho. Here it is, 2 something, just a little bit after 2 in the afternoon. I'm gonna get an opportunity to move on here and start going through more parts and keep it all rolling. Now it's time to put the dust coat of primer on. This part is kind of a sad thing because this paint does pretty well to self-level. It does look really nice at this point. It gets all nice and glossy and makes stuff look like it's brand new. It's kind of a shame to cover all of that glossiness up with primer and then some other paint that's just going to be glossy black anyway. It's the thing to do because it doesn't have, I think, UV inhibitors in it. It doesn't do so well in sunlight, and it breaks down the finish. It does need a top coat to keep from breaking down in UV light. So that's what I'll do. I'll go around with my can of primer, get that layer on there. Usually I'll go a couple of days before I put the top coat on, but this stuff is curing so quick that I might do this tomorrow. All is well. Okay, got the dust coated primer done. So that's it for my plan that I had for this weekend. So I got everything done that I could have possibly hoped to do, plus a little bit. So this is great. Of course, there's that impending storm that may be an issue here in less than a week. This is starting to get fun. It's raining outside and that's okay. Everything I got to do is inside. Something just arrived. I got some stainless line here. I've read about this. People having decent success using this stainless line to replace the fuel line. I was checking out the fuel line days ago and noticed that no air goes through it, so it's stopped up somewhere inside. I could try to clear that, but I do like the idea of a new line, and especially a stainless line that's not going to rust. It's definitely stiffer than the copper clad line, so it's going to be a little more difficult to work with. I'll be able to do it, I think. The trick of the process is getting the new line into the original clips, which are all inside the tunnel, preferably without cutting any holes in the tunnel. That's going to be kind of its own project. We are getting some rain. Makes me a little spooked to think if we got a real storm, what would I be dealing with then? I guess I could push some of this water out. The project is finally gaining momentum, but so is a storm out in the Atlantic. Don't worry, the storm came and went and I'm fine, but subscribe now to see how it all plays out. I always enjoy sharing the progress with you and appreciate that you've come back to see a little more. If you like travel videos, we post those too. Poke around the channel a little bit, pick one that interests you, and then let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.